Tim, it's very clear to me what must be done here is that Turning Point USA needs to host a counter-programmed halftime show starring the only sincere band that has kept going with a fully Christian theme, as you say,
Celine Dion.
From day one. No, American band. American. Get that Canadian nonsense out of here, Luke. I'm talking about Creed. I'm talking about Scott Stapp. I'm talking about taking this entire country higher to a place with golden streets.
You know,
where blind men see.
You guys talk about that.
Men see.
I think on your show today, on Charlie's show, when you guys were...
So Tim, in all seriousness, that clip has gone mega viral.
Right, did you tweet it?
I did.
It's a good idea.
Andrew tweeted it out as the official spokesman of Turning Point. And now the media, there has been a frenzy of media requests as well as sponsors and donors and all sorts of people and other artists, Christian artists.
It's got 1.6 million.
Yeah, 1.6 million views. And no, I had no authorization whatsoever to start talking about.
It's got to
this.
happen, man.
And now it's like.
I think Turning Point's the place for concerts.
Do you do it at the same time as the official halftime show?
Yes. Same time as the official show, yes.
So we could watch football and then change the channel, watch Creed.
Well,
and
we do a live stream or maybe do a partnership with one of the channels that I'm
Talk
not
to Sinclair, maybe.
I am not saying that there have been conversations about this earlier today in this building, but
what's up, ladies and gentlemen? The one and only James Williams, no orders in the back. I recorded some stuff for you guys earlier, but unfortunately my sinuses were going crazy and it was terrible. It was terrible. They've gotten a lot better. I just want you to know they've gotten a hell of a lot better. So much so that I can smoke a little cigar while I talk to you. And plainly because I'm inside. I'm not inside, I'm outside. Now, I want to touch on something very important in the news. Bad Bunny. The bad Bunny that everybody's talking about. He came out and he said this. And it's important that you hear what he has to say prior to me saying what I want to say. Because when you see this gentleman, it's not about him. It's about the quote-unquote satanic agenda that's at play. And I think it's something we need to understand about this agenda. We're almost there. We're almost there. But let's listen to what he has to say real quick. If you didn't understand what I just said, you have 4 months to learn. The bird's gonna come back over here again, guys. Watch, they're gonna come and land right here in front of me. They've been doing it all morning. You know, there's conversations going on in the conservative circles right now about there being an alternative halftime show. And there should be multiple alternative halftime shows. In fact, in my opinion, there should be one Christian alternative halftime show where Christians can watch that for halftime. I recall Don Lemon freaking out after the Turning Point USA kind of memorial service for Charlie Kirk. And Don Lemon said some things that were very, very specific when he freaked out after watching the memorial service for Charlie Kirk. First of all, he said he went and he couldn't stay there because it felt like the earth was shaking underneath his feet. Remember when he said that? And then he said, they're going to take dominion. He said, they're going to take dominion. And I remember a friend of mine, Byron, calling me. He was like, man, did you see what Don Lemon said? I said, no, I didn't see what Don Lemon said. I was sitting there looking at other stuff. He says, you need to go and look and see. There they go. He said, you need to go look and see what Don Lemon said. So I listened. And I'm like, oh, he's scared. Them demons that are with Don Lemon, the ones that he's in partnership with, that give him influence, are afraid. What do I mean? What are you saying, James? What are you talking about? In Genesis, God said, let us make man in our image and give him dominion. Let us, the Godhead, not the three Ananukis. Let us make God man in our image and give him dominion. And I've said this 1,000 times over and over and over and over again. If you've been following me, I've said, hey, the problem that we have as Christians is that witches, sorcerers, and diviners understand dominion. I said the problem that we have is Bill Gates, Klaus Schwab, Yuval Harari understand dominion, and we don't. So Bill Gates exercises dominion over the earth by cloud seeding, by manipulating the seeds themselves that go into the soil, by trying to manipulate the water and the food. And then in the Bible it says the entire creation moaneth and groaneth for the manifestation of the sons of God. And so all creation is sitting here suffering because we as Christians don't exercise dominion. Well, Bill Gates is doing this. That's our fault. And see, when we get to the point where we realize it's our fault, we almost there. Ladies and gentlemen, we almost there where we realize it's our fault. We allowed this. We allowed, past tense, this. When we get to the point that we realize it's our fault is when things start to change. And so the beauty of Bad Bunny going on TV and Bad Bunny like mocking everybody who doesn't want to see transgenderism on TV at the Super Bowl is that Bad Bunny is another satanic miscalculation. And it's, people talk about this, we're on different timelines. And, the Mandela effect, and they're going jumping portals, and there's these different timelines. And what you're sensing are shifts. You see, there's infinite possibilities of what could happen. Charlie Kirk couldn't have been murdered. Charlie Kirk could have been shot. Kirk could have been shot in the arm. Charlie Kirk could have lost the eye. Charlie Kirk could have got his jawbone knocking off and didn't have a voice but was still around. Charlie Kirk could have never went to the event. Charlie Kirk could have. There's millions upon millions of possibilities of just different events and how they could play out. Along this line of events, Charlie Kirk is assassinated. Along this line of events, his assassination creates a revival. Along this line of events, the NFL, with their woke people, come back because they're upset about that revival. The woke ones inside the NFL says, no, we're going to have Bad Bunny and we're going to promote transgenderism. They promote it in the wrong time, in the wrong season, because they don't know the times and seasons. They think they're going to force the time and seasons. This is why I love Alex Jones so much, because what most people don't know about Alex is of the tribe of the sons of Issachar in the Bible, those who knew the times and seasons and knew what Israel ought to do, except for he knows what America ought to do. I'm feeling better. I just wish this congestion would go in the back of my head, but I'm feeling fantastic. Like Nina Simone, and I'm feeling good. Birds flying high in the sky, you know how I feel. Rivers running wild, you know how I feel. That is what's going on. Did I lose you? Did I lose you? Maybe I lost you. Let me rewind. The NFL, in their satanic tribe of Issachar, that's trying to dictate the times and season, has again miscalculated. Why did they miscalculate? Why did they do this? Because they understand dominion and they plan to ram this down people's throats. What they have not understood is that we're in a season where people have woken up. When you wake up, it means to take dominion. So now there are conversations, and there should be, without a doubt, an alternative Super Bowl halftime. But it should be more than that, in my humble opinion. And if the men in the Super Bowl, the Christian men will be the two quarterbacks in the Super Bowl who will be Christians, if those two Christian men, like I just slid that prophecy in there, watch my word, if those two Christian men would come out once it gets close to the Super Bowl and say, hey, we will not be playing in the Super Bowl if Bad Bunny is performing at halftime. Just say, I'm not playing. I'm not doing it. It will completely decimate and destroy the New World Order cultural warfare that they're trying to do. Because it's really cultural, spiritual warfare that they're trying to do. It would decimate it. And more importantly, it would decimate the cultural spirits. Hold on. We got to go to one of my guys to explain this. I got to go to somebody to explain this. Hold on. So you'll get it. All right, I'm back. And I need everybody to understand this. I referred you to various different men of God. And I said over and over, the one that I've connected to his altar the most is Michael Aropo. And I can list them over and over and over again. The guys that I've associated myself with spiritually. Let that plane fly over. Good, it's gone. However, Michael Aropo, Apostle Michael Aropo, I apologize, it shouldn't be called the Michael Aropo, Apostle Michael Aropo, is getting ready to explain to you what actually has happened to America in detail. What has happened to our nation and how it's happened. So the way you get somebody like Bad Bunny at the Super Bowl is because there is cultural wickedness that has been established. Wickedness in high places has been established. And it's forcing that into the culture. It's a system that's here that we have been combating against. But inherently we know this, but we don't have, up until this point, we have not combated it head on. And the reason why the decision to do this at Super Bowl is to do our own alternative Super Bowl halftime show is because this is a head-on clash of altars. And it's important that we do it. I don't know what I can do to help them do it, but if there's anything I can do to help, I'm down because it's important that we do it. But take a listen for a second.
Priests. And as priests, we must first of all know how to keep interaction with the heavens, and then by extension, know how to apply that interaction to dominate the earth realm. Because if we don't, those who have demonic priesthood will dominate this realm. And when you start studying how civilizations are formed, you will discover that it is this same program that devils use to establish civilizations. This same program. You know, when Cain departed from the presence of God, the Bible says Cain began to pioneer a new civilization. We didn't know what happened. We didn't know how Cain came about that civilization, but when we saw the DNA of that civilization, we knew it was not consistent with God. Because territories reveal the essence of the spirits that inspired their creation. And so when we saw the texture of that civilization, we knew God was apart from it. We knew God was not involved in that civilization. It was later Paul began to teach us how spirits establish civilizations. And he began to tell us how principalities come first. Then powers come. Then rulers of the darkness of this world come. And then spiritual wickedness come. Because that is the ecclesia of the demonic realm. Like you said, the pattern of the Roman government. When they want to dominate a city, they send their agents there to colonize you so that they rule you in your own land. And so when you study this progression, you will see that principality, the word principality means first in rank. And what it means is that they enter a territory first. They are the ones who come to establish governance. Because that word is also the word alke. Is a word for authority. So principalities are princes, beings of authority that have the capacity to colonize territories. You would think it's just about first. It's not first in terms of numerical value. It's actually first in terms of governance. They are the ones who bring governance. If you study Colossians chapter 1 verse 15, when Paul was giving the hierarchy of creation, he said Jesus is first. He created all things were created for him, both visible and invisible. He now went further to say, then you have thrones. That's when you will now know that thrones are not seats, they are creatures. And so the 24 elders are thrones. And so when you study the nature of thrones, thrones are princes that are invited to co-rule with God. Jesus was speaking to the 12 disciples. He said, at the end of time, he said, you will sit with me on 12 thrones to judge the 12 tribes of Israel. So there are people who have passed their ordination. And because of the extent to which they fulfill their ordination, God will invite them to exercise dominion and authority with him. So when you find creatures who graduate as overcomers to co-rule with God, they are called thrones. Now, after thrones, you have dominions. A dominion is a prince that is given legal authority over a territory. So a dominion is like a governor in the spirit realm. That's why when man was created and earth was given to him, man was called a dominion. He said, let them have dominion. And he went further to say the heavens belong to God. He said, but the earth he has given to the sons of men. So you cannot possess a territory until you are a dominion. And so a dominion is a prince that has authority over a territory. That's the realm we were created to function from. When we finish from earth and we pass the test of dominion, we will graduate to become thrones. Not every man will be a throne, but every man is supposed to be a dominion. Because God allocated the earth to us as our territory of rulership. That's how Paul rated the kingdom. It was after throne in Colossians 15 and 16 that Paul spoke about principalities. That means principalities are also princes, but they don't have territory to superintend over. But the job of principalities is that they take a territory. When they have secured the territory and colonized it, dominions come to take over. And when they take over, then establishment of new laws are created that become the culture of the people. Our forefathers didn't know that they were encountering spirits.
Now, I want to thank Apostle Michael Ropo, and I'm going to go back to him in a second. But see, when you look at Minnesota and you see them by law making these changes into law that that men can go in women's bathrooms, into law, anything that we see where perversion is ordained by law, you know that territory is being taken over by a spirit. It's being taken over by a spirit. Now, this video is about the NFL. Let's go back to the NFL. Now, the NFL in itself is its own little kingdom, right? There's the king of the kingdom, which is, I think, Roger Goodell right now, whoever the head of the NFL is. It could be Roger Goodell. I don't watch it enough to keep up with it, to tell you who the head of the NFL is, but he institutes laws. It's how come, that was a big old beat, it's how come they follow the rules and regulations of the NFL. Now, as it pertains to the NFL halftime, they outsourced it to Jay-Z. That's how you end up getting, and there was this big kerfuffle last time about the Super Bowl being in New Orleans and Lil Wayne not being at the Super Bowl and Kendrick Lamar being at the Super Bowl and blah, 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 blah. So by law, they've outsourced your entertainment to Sean Carter, who is wicked. And so by proxy, he's enforcing dominion on you. And it explains to you on this highest mountain of entertainment, of sports entertainment, it goes to show you the spirit that's functioning through that man because he pushes this out to you. And it has to be rejected. And it will be rejected. The problem is once you're rejected once, it's wickedness. Wickedness is ignorant. It doesn't care. It's rebellious. It's illegal. It doesn't care. Remember last year's Super Bowl, they had Kendrick Lamar, and the majority of people at the Super Bowl did not know the songs of Kendrick Lamar. So they got up and walked out. Watch what happens during this Super Bowl. But watch more importantly, if we as Christians were to do our job and exercise dominion, then nobody would buy a Super Bowl ticket. No one would buy a ticket. If you was a Christian, you wouldn't go to the Super Bowl. You wouldn't even watch the Super Bowl. In this one exercise of dominion, I love the concept and I love the idea of alternative Super Bowl halftime, because what it means is the ratings drop during halftime and you plummet, you destroy all those advertisers who thought they were going to get those eyeballs. I love the concept. I love the idea. And it's something that you can do that at the end of the day, if you get 10 million people to turn it off, they want to get people to turn the Super Bowl off. It's a great idea. But it's not even walking in full dominion. And again, I 100,000% support it. But if we were walking in full dominion, we would all just reject it. Nope, not watching it. I'm not watching the Super Bowl. I'll do something else. I'll take my wife out to dinner. If I like Super Bowl night, we'll go out to dinner. You will not get my eyeballs on the Super Bowl. I don't care. And see, when you make that kind of decision, when you make that full on, it's a decision that you make to stand in dominion and say, I reject this. Their whole system crumbles. Why? And here's the worst thing. Apostle Michael Oropo, I thought you was coming over here, Butterfly. Come on, I'm waiting on you. Apostle Michael Oropo talked about Cain. What we're dealing with right now is the sons of Cain. Cain was cursed to where the land wouldn't produce for him. To this day, we're still dealing with the sons of Cain. And guess what the sons of Cain are doing to this day? They need you to produce for them. They need your blessings that the Lord has upon you that you don't even realize are upon you. They need you. It's why they always have to target you. Because they need you. That's what it boils down to. They need you. If every Christian in America turned off the Super Bowl, what would happen? The ratings would plummet, because you have what I call cultural Christians who go to church on Sunday. They pray, they say their grace. You have people who were saved and they backslid and they upset with the Lord. You have people who are like active Christians in the church. Then you have those who are sons of God who are interceding for nations. If everybody just turned it off, every Christian that ever accepted Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior just turned it off, their system would crash. And if every time they did it, you just said no, their system would crash. That's what happened with Cracker Barrel. That's what happens every time everyone says no. And that's why they want to censor, because they don't want you to have the ability to organize and say no. Why? Because they need you. The sons of Cain need you. And I'm going to go a little bit further. You know, there's this contention about America and Israel, and America always going to war for Israel, and people speaking up on it. You do realize that even they need you. There's no doubt about the fact that they need you. If they didn't need you, they wouldn't be coming over here to get weapons. They wouldn't be coming over here to get money. They wouldn't be coming over here to get. Why can't they produce that for themselves? Because the blessings of the Lord are on those who accepted Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior. If you reject Christ, there is nothing there for you. When you reject him, there is nothing there. So those of you who have accepted him, you are blessed. You are the seed spiritually of Abraham. And so guess what? The whole demonic system, this is the thing about the demonic system. The whole demonic system hates you, but it needs you. It hates you, but it needs you for it to prosper. That's why they get so mad. I learned this lesson being in a cryptid field. When everybody in the cryptid field, they all join together, we're going to go after dark waters. And I'm ready to contend with this army of retards. And the Lord says, don't do anything. I'm like, what is wrong with you? What do you mean don't do anything? You crazy. I'm about to go get them. Don't do anything. Don't say anything. And every day, don't do anything, don't say anything, don't do anything, don't say anything, don't. And I'm like, yo, I'm going through a persecution, people lying on my name, don't say anything, don't do anything. Then he sends people I know that I trust and say, hey, the Lord said, don't say nothing. What do you mean? He said, don't say nothing. What do you mean? Don't participate. And then finally, it dawns on me in prayer one time, son, if you're not there, it crumbles. I want you to leave. And so I leave that field and I come over here by you guys, and it has crumbled. The one that I helped establish has crumbled. In the search algorithm, it has crumbled. It has crashed to a 10-year low. And then I understood it. And once you understand this, it's your presence that brings the blessing of the Lord. So every Christian that buys a ticket and goes into the Super Bowl is the reason why the Super Bowl is successful. Every Christian that's on the football field that plays football as a Christian for the NFL is the reason why the NFL is prosperous. Everyone that plays in the NBA is prosperous. It's why Caitlin Clark is such a contention in the WNBA. They hate her, but they need her. You saw it. You saw, oh, we hate Caitlin Clark. The Caitlin Clark leaves, the Christian woman leaves, and guess what? The ratings crash. You are needed, but you are hated at the same damn time.
And so when those spirits encountered them, what the spirits did was to write laws for them. Those laws are our culture now. And because we have those cultures, we are bound to worship them forever and ever until a superior priesthood comes. Every time you say thy kingdom come is a declaration of war. Because what you are trying to do is to uproot the kingdom that was to establish a new kingdom. So the point I'm making is that if we don't encounter God in light, we will encounter demons in darkness. And you know the way principalities work? When they show up, what they do is that they look, the devil can't give any gift. It is primarily a being of destruction. They are finding out what their weaknesses are. And so some of them love money. Some of them love flamboyance. Some of them love women. The job of the principality is to create a system where all of these things are available. And as they give those things to them, they draw their attention from God and they begin to pursue those things. Now, when they pursue those things to a level, their appetites become bigger. And the more the appetites become big, the more of it they want. So the principality will now come for a deeper negotiation. If you want more, then you have to enter a covenant. But he started by checking their abilities. Now, those abilities are supposed to be the abilities harnessed on the altar of priesthood. But because they didn't have priesthood in light, the devil initiated priesthood in darkness. Those of us who are apostolic in nature, we are creatures of authority. One of our predominant abilities is faith. We can make declarations and break territories open. When the principalities come, they will know that your weakness will be pride. So they will create a system that anchor on your pride, and you will be driven away from God because of your pride. The job of the principality is to make sure he establishes quadrants of such people. And when he has established them, these people will now give them legality to establish their dominion in the territory. Because they didn't have the original dominion. The dominion belonged to the men, but the men have to give clearance. But they need to find out where they can negotiate with the men. And when they have negotiated and the clearance is given, then they begin to establish their dominion. So
Exactly. That's exactly what I just said about Sean Carter, Jay-Z. Exactly. And see, once you understand things from this perspective, ladies and gentlemen, you become dangerous because you understand what's going on. And I don't mean dangerous like, oh, I'm going to go out and take an AR and I'm No, I mean dangerous because you know what the pressure points are to pray against. So, for example, everybody's like, oh, we need to pray against the satanic Super Bowl. You need to pray against the spirit that's in partnership with the NFL through Sean Carter and dethrone Sean Carter from being the one who picks the Super Bowl halftimes. That's what you need to pray. He's the one that's picking this. And it's laser focused prayer. Laser. It's precision bomb praying. And you know, the craziest thing is social media is an asset, but social media is kind of like this distraction, and it's a distraction in a manner in which it's information overload. Because you have to sift through all this. It's information overload. It's like vomiting information on you. And it makes it hard to discern where the actual target is. The actual target, which I'm going to tell you right now, those who say they want to do a halftime Super Bowl, a Christian halftime Super Bowl halftime, are on point. They are over the target. But those who pray, the target is the ones who decided who was going to be at the Super Bowl. The target ain't Bad Bunny himself. Bad Bunny is an agent of darkness. Bad Bunny is an agent of darkness that's being used to not only usher in the satanic transgender agenda, but also the disrespect of the nation. Here's the crazy thing about Bad Bunny being of the Latino persuasion. You know, our Latin brothers and sisters tend to be extremely Catholic. And so even they will be rejecting Bad Bunny. They will turn off the Super Bowl if you reach out to them. It's the biggest miscalculation ever if it's seized upon in the right way. It truly is the largest miscalculation ever. It's terrifyingly miscalculated. I'm going to let a little bit more of this play, and then we're going to go on to the next video.
What happens is that when a principality finishes its job, a power now comes. What you call an addiction is not an addiction, it's the operation of a power. It binds you to that thing that has drawn you away from God. And so when a power binds you, then a ruler of darkness comes. The word ruler of darkness is Cosmos Kratos. They are magistrate that creates laws in the cosmos. So what they do is that thing that is an addiction becomes a law. That's when, even if you want to break out, you can't anymore. You will need deliverances for it to happen. But even at that time, it has become a principle that runs your life. Because a ruler of darkness has come. And when they see that your job with them is over, then spiritual wickedness comes. Those are called ponerias. Their job is to afflict. So the lady began, first of all, pursuing money and going to her lottery and thinks she's doing well. After a while, she has HIV. The guy who was supposed to be a prophet thought he was making money and enjoying women. After a while, he is publicly disgraced and he dies of depression. So he can never fulfill his ordination anymore. Because if you fail, you will enter the ordinations of darkness. Meanwhile, these beings don't stop there. All of the things I've explained here is where they make agents from. Agents are the puppets of demonic spirits. They use them to fulfill their agenda. They send them all over. But amongst agents, they select a few who are specially gifted and empower them, and they are called witches and wizards. A witch is a being that has a man or a woman that have the power to cast spells. So when a principality comes to Zambia, for example, and discover their prophets here, he will have many agents here that pursue immorality, pursue flamboyant things. When he's using them, he will now raise some of them to become witches. Those witches will cast spells into the atmosphere so that those things will thrive. So you will not know why a move of faith, false prophets will begin. You will not know why a move of seduction begin. Some have become casters of spells. And he will stop there. He will raise some to become warlocks. You know, those of you who watch medieval movies, you will see how kingdoms are formed. They are formed through sorcery. Most nations, including some of the leading nations of the world. How many of you have watched Merlin? How many of you have watched Merlin? You see that the prince thinks it's his bow and arrow that is winning battle. He didn't know that the young man who was following him was the warlock. When he meets the dragon, he addresses him as young warlock. The guy has the power to cast spell. He has the power to create victory, even where there's no victory. So that at the end of the day, they will achieve Albion, a territory where sorcery and witchcraft will be allowed to be practiced free of charge. That's their goal. So the reason they are preserving the life of the prince is to achieve Albion. That's how territories are formed in darkness if the priesthood of light is not established. And some will grow from warlocks to become sages. A sage is a teacher in darkness. Those ones have the power to impart those abilities. So our fathers here will tell you that those days somebody can come to you and say, cut the grass and give me. If you give him, he will say some things, rub his hand on you, and scorpion will never sting you again. He has the power to transfer demonic powers. So he has now been trained in darkness. That's how these people influence what you call the marketplace. That's how they influence what you call government. So the reason most, you go to certain nations, the foundation of governance is corruption. It is because some sages and warlocks spoke it into the foundation. So even if a good man comes to leadership, that power will bend his will because it was rooted as a heritage of that territory. You now go to another territory, they are very innovative. Like when we came from the Middle East, you see wisdom, you see excellence, and you say, how come these people are like this? You think this is the best. You now go under, you see oppression and violence. What gives them joy is to spill blood. And so anywhere they go to, blood is spilled like water. You go to another territory, you say these are scientifically inclined. They are learned people. Why is Africa not like this? You now discover that there is perversion and immorality. So what they teach them is that sex is exercise. And it ruins the souls of people. So on one side, you see poverty and backwardness. On another side, although there is excellence, but you see violence. On another side, although there is scientific inclinations, intelligence, but you see corruption, you see lawlessness, you see immorality. The signatures are different depending on the laws that are written. So before you go to those territories, you must have a priesthood in light that can uproot those foundations. Otherwise, you can go to America and be a successful businessman, but you'll be an immoral person. Because the priesthood does not negate financial prosperity, but it negates purity of the soul. And so you are excelling, but the point comes, you become godless. And if you are there for 5 years, you will start wondering, what do I need God for? Because the system, the law that is written in that atmosphere is that the higher you go, the more irrelevant God is to you. And you will not know what is happening. And then you are insulting those in Africa. You say they are backward. See how poor they are. You don't know what is going on. A point will come when if you are there for 15 years, you will not even know how to say Jesus is Lord. Because something has gone wrong with your soul. In fact, a point will come, you start feeling, you say, I love a man. And they say, what do you mean? Say, that's how I feel. I live by how I feel. And you see a man say he loves a man. He didn't know that he's a victim of the demonic priesthood. Meanwhile, there's a lot of advancement in civilization, but the heart is dark. And then you come to this side of Africa. You are highly religious. You are praying. You are fasting. But you are irrelevant in the marketplace. Because you don't have the intelligence to contend there. And even those who are in your government, corruption eats their soul up. The money that belongs to the nation, 5 people share it. And they think wisdom is to go to Dubai and sleep in 5.
Does any of that sound familiar to you guys? They had a fresh little thing of pollen come blowing through. Does any of that sound familiar? Does it sound familiar? Wow, you can look at a Chuck Schumer, a Nancy Pelosi, who 10 years ago were trying to they stop the transatlantic partnership. Today, they're willing to sell out America. Does any of it sound familiar? And you know the craziest thing, that process of corruption is accelerated. And it's not just corruption of, in a sense of taking bribes, it's corruption of the soul of our politicians. And I know this video is about the Super Bowl, but it's gotten to the point to where that corruption is being made manifest everywhere. And it goes back to what I was saying about Don Lemon having this freak out upon the murder of Charlie Kirk, saying they are going to take dominion. It's happening right now. And I agree with these brothers about an alternative Super Bowl. I'll see you guys on the next video.